Guess what, Dave? Shocking news. Rush is not getting back together. Can you believe it? Are you shocked? Are you as devastated as I am that Rush is not getting back together?
I don't think Rush should get back together. I think
Yeah.
Neil Peart, without Neil Peart, nothing should happen. That's what I think.
Exactly. Well, Rush guitarist Alex Lifeson agrees with you, and he shut down any possibility of a reunion of the famous Canadian rock trio. We're from Canada. We live and breathe Rush here in Canada. But he praised the band's fans and their passion for the band and for everything that they've done. But as we all know, Neil Peart, the drummer and lyricist of Rush, passed away in early 2020. So a reunion is obviously out of the question, and it kind of bugs me. I wonder why this is really news. I know we're making it news. We're talking about it here on the podcast, but to me, it's a no-brainer that Rush wouldn't get back together without Neil Peart, because it depends on what the band is, right? When you think about different bands, the way that different bands operate and which bands have which members, you think about Rush. Rush was very much those three guys. They were a unit. It was Geddy, it was Alex, and it was Neil. And those guys, I know they had a drummer originally too, but it was those three guys that created Rush. So when one of those pieces leaves, or one of those pieces dies, it absolutely makes sense that they wouldn't get back together. You think about Pink Floyd with Richard Wright. You think about Led Zeppelin with John Bonham. You think about so many bands that have those key members and those units. The Beatles, it was those four guys. And not every band is like that. Some bands, they have multiple members die and leave over the course of over many years, and they replace them, and it's not a big deal. But for Rush, it was those three guys. So I find the conversation that even fans would even contemplate Rush getting back together, I find that to be completely laughable.
Yeah, not to mention he's the primary lyric writer for the band. So yeah, that's a tough one. Like you can't, like, first of all, who in God's green earth is going to play like Neil Peart?
Yeah.
First off, there's only a handful of guys that are at that level that that would fit that mold. Not that there's not any.
Taylor Hawkins.
And then you throw in the fact that the songs are his soul.
Yeah.
I think it's fine. And, I think there's probably plenty of Rush recordings sitting around somewhere, sitting on tape in a warehouse somewhere on some storage file that they'll have plenty of stuff to put out and work on as Rush without Neil Peart, without having to have new music. Like, what's the expectation here? You know what I mean? So I think they'll be plenty fulfilled in their Rush legacy with the side little Rush things that come up every an anniversary or a reissue, and these B-sides from this. I'm sure there's tons of stuff. There's probably stuff that's ready to go that we don't even know about that they're going to put out. Mm-hmm. So I'm not shocked about it at all. I think that band is a three-piece forever. And you can't just, this isn't Blink 182, folks. Right. This is Rush.
Yeah.
And I think that's how it should be handled. And I think those guys probably agree with us.
And they have a legacy in place, right? Yeah. They have a great musical legacy of great records. They toured their asses off. They really did everything they could do after the so many years as a band. So I think there's always this reluctance among classic rock fans to let bands go and to retire. Yeah. You have a band like the Rolling Stones, which for some reason, and I'm totally glad they're still around, but for some reason they're still going. I know they're not active as they used to be, but they're still a band. All the members are still alive. For the Rolling Stones, was still boggles my mind that these bands that they're still going strong, and that's good for them. But not every band is built like that. You think about the Beatles. The Beatles broke up 50 years ago, right? So, and they've continued on as a brand, even though the band may not exist, the brand continues. So, like you're saying, even though Rush isn't an active band that you're going to be able to go pay tickets to go see live, the Rush reissue train will continue. They'll go into their own vaults to find more material that they can reissue and repurpose over the next few years. So in that case, Rush still exists. But it's weird because that, I guess, happens to every band, especially when you have these bands that are legends like Rush, is that they transition. So they're no longer an active band, but they're still Rush. They still have an Instagram account and a Facebook account and a Twitter account that stay active to keep Rush alive. You know what I mean? It's very strange, especially in modern times, that when a band breaks up or members leave or they no longer exist, like they're done. Like there's nothing else to say. But that's not how it works anymore. Is that if a band no longer exists as an actual thing, it still exists as a brand and a business that continues on. Yeah.
Yeah, man, when you're a legacy band like that, like it's not just you know what I mean? Like there's an entire, you've got your 4 or 5 managers and agents and stuff and publicists, and then you got everybody else that works for you. So keeping that money source coming in and keeping publishing going and keeping interest in the band, and just the branding itself to make that happen is as big, if not bigger, than the band itself. Like you look at the music and the merchandise sold to the Beatles since the Beatles broke up.
Right.
It's, you can't even, like, you know what I mean? Like it's a totally different angle of it. Like there doesn't necessarily need to be new music if you keep the brand pushed the right way.
And well, but that goes back to the conversation that we were just having about the vault and, you know, how long the shelf life of these bands have. Like, how long do these bands have a legacy and until people start to forget about them? Is that possible now if you have a band like the Beatles or Pink Floyd or Led Zeppelin that's being constantly repurposed for a new generation? For Spotify, you know, you have all the Beatles albums being remastered for new audiences for Spotify streams, and they're still getting billions of streams. Nirvana, we were talking about it last week on the show, got 1 billion streams on Spotify for a song that's 30 years old. Kurt Cobain died 27 years ago. You know what I mean? It's absolutely insane, but these things continue on. And so as time goes on, do we just continue to keep that train going? Or is there a time when you go on the Beatles Instagram account and they're like, listen, guys, it was good. We were able to keep this thing for 60 years. Yeah, we were able to keep this thing going for 60, 70 years, but there's a point where we just have to say, we're done. You know, there's no more remasters of Sgt. Pepper that we can put out, you know?
The truth is we don't know how long it can go for, because this is this era of the history of planet. This is new. Like it's so, like, you know what I mean? Sure, there have been bands that have come and gone, but like real staples. This is the last 150 years, you know what I mean? So it really, time will tell, like how much of an impact the digital climate and stuff have on the longevity of bands that size. Even like, you know, like how long, like we distribute music and stuff, and how long do our distributors keep distributing music or keep paying for the servers that hold the music that's been distributed? Like when does that, you know, when does CD baby go away? When does all that start to fall apart?
Yeah.
You know, like at what time, you know? So I don't know. The answer is there is no real answer yet. Like we're still in this era of music, and taking information and saving it is still in full effect. So time will tell, but I definitely think it'll be longer than it was. But it's also, you know, we're cursed with the over communication and the over stimulation of so much product, so much music, that things that are great are getting lost in the shuffle already. So it's just a matter of time, I think. You know, it might be 80, might be 100, but 150 years, I don't think anybody cares about the Beatles anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, there'll be new stuff to care about. People will be like, Billie Eilish, she was the greatest.
Yeah.
But yeah, with Rush, it's not a surprise that they're not going to be getting back together. They can't do it without Neil Peart. They shouldn't do it without Neil Peart.
No.
It makes absolutely no sense for them to do that. And I think it's absolutely unrealistic for fans to have an expectation. Fine, if Geddy and Alex want to get together and do something else, it's called something else. That's not Rush. Go for it. But yeah, it's okay to let them go. And I think they probably feel like that too, that they've really done their bit and they're proud of what they've done. And that they're able to move on to different things. They have families, they have lives, and that they should just keep going with that. They don't need to keep going back to Rush.
Yeah, the side projects and the little, like, you know, they can do a cage and plant thing. It's all right. Like, for sure. And no one, no, you know, and they'll probably, this is the thing, they'll probably do a Page and Plant thing with
Yeah.
like a Mike Portnoy playing drums or something,
Yeah.
and it'll be amazing. And they'll throw some Rush songs in.
Mhm.
That's what's gonna happen. Like, let's be realistic. But like them touring and writing and releasing music as Rush, I think they should just put it to rest.
Yeah.
And you know, they can still live and sell tickets off of that success. And I think they should just do their own thing, like the Page and Plant with a great drummer. Throw in some Rush songs to keep all the fans happy at the show and to
Yeah.
pay tribute to one of the greatest bands of all time that they happen to be a part of.
Yeah. Agreed for sure.